You think you know what we're going to talk about.
But unfortunately, I fell down a damn rabbit hole and I've not gotten out yet.
Knife bros.
I literally Googled Sebastian Stan hands.
But just when you least expect it, we changed the game.
Well, yeah, because like usually in astrology, they would partner up air signs with fire signs.
All right, you can huggle.
Time travel stories and
At the end of the day, only one thing matters. We decide.
Well, we should make it a topic. Unfortunately, I didn't take German in school. I took Spanish and I don't remember any of it.
Three Fates Decide podcast.
Hey everyone, my name is Sam. Welcome back to Three Fates Decide. I am here with my two co-hosts, Liz and Mary. Say hello, ladies.
hello.
Hello.
And tonight we are going to be going through another Marvel movie that came out in 2021, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So this one came out in August of 2021, and it was the highest grossing film of 2021. Fun fact for you. It grossed over 432 million worldwide.
Ooh.
There you go. It was released in the US September 3rd as part of Phase 4 of the MCU. So we're going to, as usual, go through a quick synopsis. I'll do my best of going through it. And just prefacing this, I apologize well in advance if I screw up any of these names. I will do my best, but I'm sorry.
Also, spoiler alert coming up, people.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. If you have not watched this movie, don't want to be spoiled, do not listen to this recording.
Correct. But it is available now for your convenience on Disney Plus. Shameless plug.
Exactly. We are not sponsored by Disney Plus, but Disney hit us up.
Yeah, seriously. Disney, Marvel. Come on.
Hey,
Come on now.
we've been talking about your stuff for a few episodes already, so
Seriously.
Let's just talk. We
Just
we
do it.
can come to some type of agreement. I know we can.
Seriously.
uh,
All right. So again, as Mary said, spoiler alert. Let's get into this movie. So around 1,000 years ago, Shu Wenwu discovers the mystical 10 rings, which grant immortality and godly-like powers. He establishes what's called the Ten Rings organization and it starts conquering kingdoms and destroying governments all throughout history. And in 1996, Wenwu searches for Ta Lo, which is a village which is said to harbor mythical beasts. And he travels through this magic forest to the village entrance, but is stopped by the guardian who's called Ying Li. They have this like crazy battle, which is kind of like dance fighting, is like how I am going to describe it. And they wind up falling in love. And, when they go to the Talo villagers, they reject Wenwu, and Li chooses to leave with him. They get married and they have two children, who is Shang-Chi and Xialing. And Wenwu abandons his organization and he locks away the 10 rings to just, be with his fam. When Shang-Chi is 7, Li is murdered by Wenwu's enemies, who's called the Iron Gang. And Wenwu decides to don the 10 rings again and massacres the entire Iron Gang and resumes leadership of the whole organization and basically starts up the 10 Rings organization again. He makes Shang-Chi undergo like ridiculous martial arts training, but doesn't allow Xialing to train because she's female. And basically, she secretly decides to teach herself. When Shang-Chi is 14, Wenwu sends him to assassinate the Iron Gang's leader, and because he was so traumatized by the mission, he decides to run away and runs away to San Francisco, California, and decides to go under the name Sean. So now we are in present day, and Shang-Chi works as a parking valet with his best friend Katie, who basically doesn't know anything about who he is, only who he is now, not about his past. Um, they get attacked by the Ten Rings on a bus because they're trying to steal the pendant that Lee, his mother, gave to Shang-Chi. That battle was freaking like ridiculously awesome, I'm just saying. So after that, Shang-Chi decides to fly out to find his sister, because he's scared that the Ten Rings are gonna go after her because she also has the matching pendant. He winds up telling Katie who he is, and Katie, being the good friend that she is, insists on helping him and goes with him. They find Xiling at an underground fight club in Macau, and which she created after escaping Wenwu at 16. The Ten Rings do show up. They do attack the fight club, and Wenwu arrives and he captures Shang-Chi, Katie, Xiling, and takes her pendant as well. A group of them are taken to the Ten Rings compound, and Wenwu uses the pendants to reveal a mystical map that leads to Ta Lo. Wenwu explains that he keeps hearing his deceased wife Lee calling out to him and thinks that she's being held captive in Ta Lo behind the sealed gate, and he plans on going and destroying the village and releasing her. And, you know, Katie and Shang-Chi and Xiling, they're trying to tell him like it's not a good idea. And so he basically imprisons them instead because they're not going to help him. So, he got what he needed from them. Bye bye. So then the three meet former actor Trevor Slattery, whom the Ten Rings imprisoned because he was impersonating Wenwu. If you don't know what we're talking about, Iron Man, right? Was it
Iron Man
one?
3.
Iron Man 3, yeah.
Three.
Iron Man 3. He impersonated Wenwu, so he was imprisoned. Um, so they find Trevor and his Hundun companion Morris, who offers to guide them to Ta Lo. Group manages to escape and gets to Ta Lo, which exists in a separate dimension and, has the various Chinese mystical creatures. They wind up meeting Lee's sister, Ying Nan, who explains the history of Ta Lo and basically tells them that thousands of years ago, the universe that was containing the village was attacked by the soul consuming dweller in darkness and its soul eaters. But it was saved by a Chinese dragon called the Great Protector, who helped seal the dark gate to the dweller's world. And according to Nan, the dweller in darkness has been impersonating Lee so that Wenwu will use the Ten Rings to open the gate. So Shang-Chi, Xiling, and Katie join the villagers to train and prepare for when Wenwu arrives, and because they know he's going to show up there to try and break the gate. Wenwu and the Ten Rings do arrive and attack. Wenwu is able to overpower Shang-Chi and forces him into a nearby lake, which separates the village from the gate, and then heads to the gate to go attack the rings. And as he's attacking the gate, it is starting to split open, and some of the dwellers' soul eaters are able to escape and killing, villagers, Ten Rings, whatever. So the Ten Rings decide to join forces with the villagers to attack the soul eaters. Great Protector is able, which if you remember I said is the dragon, is able to revive Shang-Chi and basically brings him back from the lake to battle the Soul Eaters. Wenwu and Shang-Chi fight again, and Shang-Chi is able to actually gain the upper hand and basically has a chance to finally kill his father and decides to spare him. The Dweller in Darkness, though, does manage to escape because Wenwu did manage to weaken the gate so much and it attacks Shang-Chi. Wenwu finally becomes a good father and saves Shang-Chi and by bequeathing him the rings before being killed by the Dweller in Darkness. Shang-Chi, the Great Protector, Xialing, and Katie, along with everyone else, managed to kill the Dweller in Darkness. Afterwards, Shang-Chi and Katie return to San Francisco and get confronted by a sorcerer named Wong. And if you don't know who Wong is, that's from Doctor Strange. And he summons them to Kamar Taj. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. And then there is a mid-credit scene where Wong introduces Shang-Chi and Katie to Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers while researching the ring's origin. And they discover that the rings are acting as a beacon to something. And then there's a post-credit scene where Xialing becomes the new leader to the Ten Rings compound and is allowing women and men to train side by side, even though she had told Shang-Chi that she was going to span the entire organization. And that is the end.
Yay. You got through it.
We
we all did.
Yay.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So, what did we think?
Overall, I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I liked it, but there was a few things that I just thought were a little too tropey, and I was like, they really could have done something different.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there were a couple of things that were kind of like but I got past it.
Yeah, no, I thought the movie overall was actually very well done. I know like we were concerned about like quote unquote campiness, especially since, tends to be whenever you talk about, you know, Chinese or Asian history, these Hollywood studios tend to, I don't want to say overdo it, but they like, I don't know, they make it campy basically. Like I guess overdo it is kind of a good way of putting it. Like they just, don't make it as authentic. They go overboard with trying to make it authentic that it's not authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't feel that too much in this. I thought that, they didn't go too crazy, but that's just me. Um, but I thought the casting was really well done.
Yeah.
Special effects I thought were pretty good. It was a mix of funny and obviously had the action and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, you have Aquafina in something and it's going to be funny. So she's pretty hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought she at first I wasn't sure about her because I mean, she's a comedian and she mostly does comedic roles, which isn't to say that Marvel doesn't have comedy in it. It does, but at first I was kind of wondering how she fits in. But I guess she's kind of like the audience she's like the character that kind of represents the audience a bit where she's pulled into this crazy situation and wondering what is going on, and that's kind of like us as the audience as well. It's like, what is going on? Who are these people after you? What?
Yeah. I think my main issue, it really stemmed down to the very first quote unquote, not the martial arts fight scene between Wenwu and what the hell's her name
Lee.
again? Yeah, her. That one was great. That was beautiful. I loved how
dance fighting.
Yes. But the Shang-Chi bus scene, I'm like, damn it. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. It was beautifully shot. It was it was well done. It's just so freaking tropey. I'm like, really?
You
Wait.
notice it happens in almost every Marvel movie. There's something like that.
I know. I know.
It's
And I
their
mean, I think
signature.
that's my biggest. I know I'm whining now, but that's my biggest issue with the Marvel movies is there's always the it's like they just throw in a fight scene that really didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I guess like the
it
justification for it was it reintroduces the Ten Rings back into his life after avoiding them for so
yeah,
long. I mean, that's their justification for it.
I
Which
know, but it just it's still
I
just
know.
it's just to me it just felt a little too tropey, and I was like,
No, I get it. I get it.
typical fight scene. I mean, I I think it was more the big. I don't know if he was necessarily Russian with that had the
Mm-hmm.
freaking red hot razor blade
Yeah.
for an arm.
Yeah.
I,
Yep.
I'm like, really? I'm like, really?
It's funny, actually, like, it's only now that I'm thinking about it, but, actually that bus fight scene actually reminds me a lot of, like, some of those, Jackie Chan, films, actually.
It did. And that was it. That's what I was thinking. I was like, all you need is Chris Rock, and this is a Jackie Chan movie.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny, like, watching the movie, I found myself really feeling like they took some I'm trying to think what's the best way to describe it, like, a lot of homages to a lot of, like I don't wanna call them classic, but, like, a lot of well-known, like, Chinese movies. Like the scene that you guys really seem to enjoy watching was, like, the first fight scene between, when, Wenwu and, Ying Li first met each other, that whole, like, fight scene. Well, I remember while I was watching it, I was, like, I was really reminded a lot of, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, actually.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay. So wait,
Yes.
I'm reading something right now.
Right.
And it says for the film's action scenes, Cretton drew inspiration from a range of different fighting styles due to Shang-Chi being trained in different types of martial arts. These include the elegant, almost ethereal wushu style from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and the kinetic fights of Jackie Chan films. So, like, what the heck,
There you
guys?
go.
Yeah.
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 I've grown up watching a lot of these kind of movies. That's why, like, I kind of recognized some of the
Yeah.
stylings to it. It's not a
I haven't
bad thing. It's not
I
it's
No,
haven't
not
seen
wrong.
that's
Crouching
because I
Tiger,
mean
Hidden
it's
Dragons
amazing.
in years, but
Yeah,
God, that was a good movie.
honestly, thinking about it now, like that, I keep calling it like dance fighting, but it is. It's like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where it's very, fluid motion, and it's like the whole body
Mhm.
kind of like going into it or whatever. Like it's
Right.
true.
Mhm.
That is a very now that I read that and you said that, I was like, oh, yep.
In particular, it really reminded me a lot of that scene in Crouching Tiger where they were fighting in the bamboo forest, and they're like,
Mhm.
running, jumping, flying through, you know, using the stalks
Mhm.
to, like, oh, hi, I'm over here, you're over there, and I'm gonna race, chase after you through this and that, it's that was like a visual recall to me a little bit. Um,
Mm.
Actually, another one I thought of actually was Hero. Actually, that was another very good movie where they have similar visuals. Especially the way they use the color palette in some of the Talos scenes. The way they
Mm.
use like bright,
Mhm.
like I don't want to say primary colors, but it's like you kind of tell like there's a certain color that they're using as like the theme of the scene, which is something they do in Hero. Um, but yes.
Mhm.
Um, any other things that you guys liked about the movie? I mean, there's quite a bit we could get into.
Well, I know, Liz, me and you were talking about this yesterday. Um, the actual the mythical creatures that they used for the Talos scenes
Right.
Morris, for one. Basically, we've all decided we want Morris. We don't care that he's technically a chaos monster. I want Morris.
Yeah, there's plushies of him out there.
I'm gonna have to buy myself a plushie Morris because I want Morris. He's a friggin' adorable.
Yeah, he is cute.
He was so stinking cute. And I was very, very, very happy to see that they actually used a correct dragon for the culture and not just
Right.
slap any old dragon in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because in traditional Chinese art, when you look at a dragon, you know it's a very different dragon from your classic Western knights in shining
Exactly.
armor fantasy. Like
Exactly.
they look different from, the Game of Thrones dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Because aside from the stylistic approach of the art, it's also very visually indicative of how they are very separate types of creatures. Like you have the Western concept of a dragon being like a destroyer representation of like greed and stuff like that with the gold hoarding thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in Asia in general, the dragon is meant to be almost like a benevolent god, nature god of a sort, where, I mean, they can still do negative things if you piss them off, but if they choose to be kind to you, they'll bring rain for your crops, things like that. So, yeah, I did appreciate how visually they look like they are Chinese style dragons. And they did it in a way where you could actually believe that this is a real creature and not like somehow like stereotypically cartoony looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and it was the animation for it was well drawn
Mm-hmm.
and very, very, I felt accurate from any pictures that I've actually seen of like murals and stuff that where they've painted these dragons
Right.
in pictures is like it looked just like it's like they really did their homework with it and didn't
Yeah.
just try to kind of like I hate to say but half-ass it with something,
Right.
They
And like we were right.
they did really well with that. And with almost all the other mythical creatures too, because the nine-tailed fox,
Right.
that was I want one of them too, by the way. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take a Morris and a nine-tailed fox, please.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like we were saying with Morris, the thing is that when you look up like, pictures of what like different drawings of like Hundun, he looks exactly like one. He looks like what this picture would be like if it was a real creature with fur and everything. I mean, and so but he also looks so soft and squishy. Like you want to pick him up and give him a hug
Mm-hmm.
and a
Yes.
pat on the head.
I was so nervous that Morris and or the dragon were gonna get killed. It's like
Yeah.
that was like my fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, the dragon almost did.
Almost did, yes. But
Almost.
saved him. We saved him.
I was
Yeah.
like, please, not the dragon. I
I
would have
would
been sadder about Morris, to be honest.
I would have cried. Yeah, but I have a thing for like those type of, whether it's like a Morris or whatever, because it's like either like animals, like, pets or whatever, and it's like their
Yeah.
innocence, even though like the dragon is like, fighting, but it's like their innocence. It's just how I think of it.
Yeah.
Same. They're not real, but damn it, I thought I just like they're especially Morris. He was so innocent.
Well, that just goes to show you like how much effort they went into to like making this thing so lovable. And all it does is kind of noises.
Basically, he just made a bunch of really cute noises, and I'm like, I want him.
Yeah, with his little wings.
Mhm.
You completely forget he has no face.
I know.
Dude.
Like in your mind, you actually kind of see it.
I
Mhm.
know, you kind of picture the face there, even though
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
there.
I can totally see his face. It's an adorable little face.
That's just how magical it is, like, what they did.
Yes. Is it bad that I'm seriously thinking of actually buying a Morris plush from Amazon?
But well, they are out there, like, I've seen pictures of it.
No, like seriously, I'm looking at Amazon right now.
Actually, you know what? Okay, I have to make a I have to, like, mention that, other than the dragon and the fox and well, we call it a phoenix, but it's not really a phoenix, but, you know, it's a firebird. Other than, like, those creatures and a couple others, like, I didn't recognize some of the animals because, my knowledge of Chinese mythology is extremely limited because, like, my mom's side of the family, converted to Catholicism, and my dad is not particularly, like, religious or anything like that in general. So I didn't grow up with that much knowledge of, like, traditional religious belief or knowledge of, like, mythology, so I had to actually look up what some of these things were. And the funny thing I found out about Hundun is that there is a connection to wonton dumplings, which is really funny, actually.
Yeah. I literally just looked it up and this article I found, they said they were using they were using Morris because they used like real animals like ostriches and like wombats and things like that. And they basically said that Morris is basically they used a wombat for but just made it into Morris.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
For
like, with
how he moved
yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, I mean, with imaginary creatures, you have to, like, use real animals to figure out how they move and behave to make it more real. Especially when, you know, the creature that you're trying to work with, you know, doesn't exist at all. I mean, it's one thing if it was like an extinct animal and you're just
Mhm.
extrapolating
Mhm.
from various clues, like how it may have moved and behaved and even what it sounded like, but yeah. You kind of have to wing it with imaginary creatures.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. I have some trivia.
Sure, go ahead.
In the late 1980s, Stanley had considered a film or TV series about Shang-Chi and had in mind Brandon Lee, who is the son of Bruce Lee, for the role. And Shang-Chi was visually based on Bruce Lee. So
Right.
Brandon obviously seemed like the best choice since it's his son, but it never happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Simu Liu, when he was cast as Shang-Chi, he already knew how to do taekwondo, gymnastics, and Wing Chun.
Right.
And then he got trained in Tai Chi, Wushu, Muay Thai, uh, Krav Maga, Jiu Jitsu, boxing, street fighting. Like, and I read he put on like an extra 10 pounds of just pure muscle. This is his first starring role.
Right.
He's always just been secondary. Aquafina was first person casted for this movie. And in Xialing's Fight Club, apparently, on the lower tier, one of the fights was between one of the widows, appeared in Black Widow, and an enhanced with extremist treatment from Iron Man 3. So those two were fighting down at the bottom level. So now I'm gonna have to watch it again and look for that.
Yeah, because I didn't. I'm gonna have to watch it again for the third time just to find that because I
Just
didn't see that.
right when I read that, I was like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting." Simu tweeted, and I'm sure everyone had kind of heard this. Tweeted in December of 2008, asking Marvel to number one make this movie and to put him up for the role. And then in 2019, he retweeted the original tweet and just went, "Thank you."
Manifesting works.
Well, but I'll tell you, they did very well in casting him in the role.
Oh yeah, he was so good. He was so good.
Yeah, you would have. If I didn't know that it was his first quote unquote lead role, I would have thought he'd been doing it for years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's pretty funny about like talking about his career up to this point. The stock photos.
Look at him now. Yeah, hopefully this opens a lot of doors for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Not
Because
to mention like all the other kids who are like, see, you can do it.
exactly.
They started filming in March of 2020. They didn't
Oh.
get very far because then they had to stop due to COVID. But they were actually the first movie to restart filming at the end of July of 2020. First feature film to reopen Disney's operations globally after the lockdown. They were filming in Australia.
Yeah, actually quite a few of the upcoming movies were filming in Australia. Because
Yeah.
for a few months it was like the place that was like almost COVID free. But yeah, that we know how long that stayed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And then Simu found out about getting the role of Shang-Chi after waking up from a nap in his underwear eating shrimp crackers. He said that he got a call from Kevin Feige giving him the role along with asking him to come to Comic-Con in 4 days. Imagine being like, what?
I'm not sure like which is the weirder casting news story, that one or Henry Cavill, really.
Oh yeah, him
Finding
almost
him to be Superman.
yeah.
I don't know that
Because he
story.
was too busy playing World of Warcraft.
And he missed the phone call and had to go to voicemail.
It's very funny.
Yeah, I'll never forget that one about Cavill.
Super gaming nerd.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Man after my own heart.
Oh god. But yeah, so that's pretty much only what I found the cool ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I thought it was like really great how like they did cast like mostly Asian actors in the movie, which was good.
Yeah.
So
Time to expand the
Yeah.
horizons.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love Ben Kingsley, who played Trevor.
yeah. Well, I mean, it made sense to include him in it because as far as we know,
It really
the
did.
character is still alive.
Right.
Right.
So and the fact he did impersonate quote unquote the Mandarin, and it's like I know in that bonus short film they indicated that he was kidnapped by, members of the Ten Rings to bring back to their boss to punish him. And it was kind of left as a question mark, like what happened to him after that. Well, now we got the answer.
Yes. Thank God he had Morris.
I know. I just love the fact he's like, you can see him? Oh, thank God, I thought I've been hallucinating him this entire time.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to me how like obviously Katie wouldn't know what Morris is, but it was also kind of funny to me like how Shang-Chi doesn't know what he is either. Which goes to show you is that like, not all younger generation Chinese people necessarily know these things
Right.
either. So I'm not the only anomaly here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're like freaking out. They're like, what is that thing? What is it? He's like, what? That thing. Oh, you can see him?
Such fabulous news.
I thought I've been hallucinating him this entire time.
Well, to be fair, even if he was hallucinating Morris, at least being able to talk to something that you think is there does make you feel less lonely.
True. This is true.
That is very true.
Even in my wildest imaginations, I could never have imagined a creature like Morris.
I don't know, maybe when you were 3, you might have.
I don't even think at 3 I would have imagined something like Morris.
I don't know. Sometimes kids can surprise you.
No, well, considering my imaginary friend was named Lisa.
Eh.
And she's the one who drew on the wall with crayon. Wasn't me.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Yep. I gotta say, since we were talking about the casting, one thing I was really impressed by was they actually cast Tony Leung. Well, that's how I pronounce his name anyway. Most of you guys could pronounce it as Tony Leung. But it was really impressive they were able to get him to do this because for people who aren't familiar, he's like very well known in a lot of Hong Kong movies. I mean, he's like one of those like legends of Hong Kong cinema. So being able to cast an actor like him to do a movie like this is pretty big deal since like I don't think he's done too many Western movies before. Actually, I mentioned this movie earlier, Hero, but he was actually one of the lead characters in Hero. He was also in Lost Caution. He was also in Chungking Express and In the Mood for Love. Quite a few other like well-known movies in Hong Kong cinema. If anybody's ever watched any of those movies, you would know him. So, but wow, that was impressive that they got him to do this. So, yeah. And I'm pretty sure like a lot of people are familiar with Michelle Yeoh at this point. Like, she's done like quite a few Hollywood movies now. In fact, like we mentioned in the movie earlier, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is what really made people aware of who she is. So
Yeah, no, I thought, I mean, no, I thought, like I said, the casting was really well. It was nice to, I had no complaints as far as concerned. And I mean, they had, obviously we mentioned like it was nice to have, um, the Asian community kind of brought more into like the MCU and all that stuff, and having Asian actors uh casted for the roles, and then they also had an Asian director as well.
right,
So
right,
it was just, I just thought it was put together very well. And
yeah,
it was liked. I mean, I think on Rotten Tomatoes it had a 91% rating. Oh,
yeah, which is great.
yeah.
Um, I'm very intrigued with what the sequel will be. Presumably, the sequel is going to dive into the rings themselves because, like we said earlier, in one of those like bonus scenes in the credits,
Mhm.
they indicate that there seems to be some kind of signal, beaming out to somewhere to something from the rings. So I would imagine that the sequel will explore that because I mean it's not like I can't imagine that this would get explored in like another movie altogether. That's not the sequel.
Yeah. I'd say they're probably going to explore the fact that Xiao Ling didn't disband the 10 rings like she said she was going to.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Actually, I was aware of the Mandarin as an Iron Man villain, like back when like they were doing Iron Man cartoon series in the 90s that I had seen some of the episodes of. So I was aware of the character being, a villain, but other than that, I wasn't overly familiar with him in any other respect. So I did look up the character a bit more, like what the comic books were saying, and it in like they mentioned that obviously the Mandarin had 10 actual rings. They weren't like the bands that we see in the movie. They were like actual rings, and apparently the rings were remnants of an alien spaceship that he kind of created into like a ring form so that he has access to some of the technology from the ship so he can use those as his like abilities to do all sorts of stuff. So now I'm kind of wondering now if, because like they're indicating that these rings are emitting some kind of signal, presumably into outer space, and even Carol and Bruce were kind of like suspecting there's something alien about it.
Mm-hmm.
It actually does seem to have a connection to the comic origins of the rings, but we'll have to see about that, which I thought was kind of interesting. Um, and oh yeah, the other interesting thing I thought was like actually, well, okay, so in the comics, we find out that Shang-Chi's father is the villain, the Mandarin. But obviously, for the movie, they had to change that quite a bit because, of course, as in case anybody wasn't familiar, the Mandarin is basically Marvel's reinterpretation of Fu Manchu, which is, of course, a grossly racist stereotype of Chinese men. So, yeah, that's not going to work. Okay. I thought it was interesting that not only did they do a change for his father, but actually they did the same thing with his sister because based on my little bit of research, I found out that like Shang-Chi does have a sister in the comics, but she's not a full-blooded sister. She's actually a half sister that they have the same father. And she's actually a villain in the comics, this sister of his. And she occasionally will team up with her brother if it meant dealing with their father or dealing with like some other, common enemy. But then she'll go back to do, her own involvement in criminal activity and stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of interesting that they gave this sister character similar background and similar traits, but yet they still made her kind of different. So yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how they're really going to continue to tie in Shang-Chi and the rings into the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially now that they've opened the multiverse. Or they will be opening the multiverse, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, technically they've already done it with Spider-Man No Way Home, but I haven't seen that yet. And that's not even technically, it's what, technically a Sony picture?
Yeah, so it's not even going to be on Disney Plus. Well, didn't I read somewhere that the first Spider-Man is now on Disney Plus or something? Did I make that
I
up?
have no idea. I have no idea. I'm gonna have. I'm gonna go find out. I'm gonna pull up Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Basically, I didn't go to the movie theater either. We're gonna have to wait till it's like on TV
Yeah.
because it's not gonna, most likely won't be on Disney Plus. So, which stinks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's a couple movies that I want to see that I haven't seen because I just don't want to go to the movies. I just don't feel comfortable.
Yeah. Nope. It's not
Yeah.
on. It's not on Disney Plus yet.
I made it up. I apologize.
That's okay.
there's like quite a bit of stuff we haven't gone to the theaters to actually watch yet. I mean, like Eternals, I didn't get a chance to watch Eternal yet, but
Not
I
me
will
either.
definitely. Yeah,
Eternals
but
is now on Disney Plus, y'all.
Yes.
yes, and we will
I watched it the other
eventually.
day.
Yeah, we will eventually do another episode about that movie
Yes.
down the road
Yes.
in a few weeks'
Yeah.
time. But okay. So before we close out, as usual, we have an email address where you can send us questions, comments, criticisms on how to improve our show. You can email us at threefatesdecide@gmail.com. It's the title of our podcast, all in one word, and the 3 is spelt out.
And you can also reach us on Instagram at Three Fates Decide. The 3 is spelled out. And feel free to send us DMs.
Let us know what you think. We love feedback.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch us next time.
And see what we're going to talk about.
Because the 3 Fates decide.